So this is completely stock. There's nothing done to this car. So yeah, it's gonna be my before driving video, and I'll do some pulls and hopefully you can see the dash here or the heads up display, but it's the first time driving it in a few weeks. So we're turning off traction control and VSC. So we can get a nice pull here. This is downhill, so take that with a grain of salt. So let's see. It's like from 20 miles an hour. So that was 20 to 100. And the tires are cold. It's been in the garage, so let me turn off the exhaust. So the tires are cold, so we spun at the top of first, going in a second, but then third obviously hooked up. Yeah, so I just wanted to do some before videos. You can see I'm putting my foot down in sixth. It's got some good pickup. It's not the fastest. Doesn't have a ton of torque. I mean, we're at 2,000 RPMs, like what do you expect? But I am excited for that like low end torque, that grunt, and eventually banging through gears. That'll be very fun. Okay, so next I would like to do a pull from like 40 to like maybe 100, just so we can see what that's like. Put it in third, and then at 40 I'm just gonna put my foot down and we'll see how hard it goes. So here's 40, there's my foot down. That's 80, 90, 100. So yeah, it's got some good torque. It's fun. It's pretty fast. I mean, if you're coming from a 4-cylinder S2000 like I am, this is obviously going to be way more fun and way more torque than a Honda, but could be better. So let's get back to the house and let's get this thing up in the air and start taking it apart. Okay, so prior to that, I think I'm going to get this battery disconnected, and it looks like maybe 2 10s. Let me think like this. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so next I think we're taking all of these off. The screws inside here, looks like I see 4. So I think I've done everything I can for the bolts here and here. Now everything else is going to be on the bottom. We're going to get the quick jacks put under here. You can see we got the quick jacks on. Huge pain in the ass. On to the next step. We're getting the bottom connection points off, I guess. So I believe it's like all these screws here, any of the ones you see here, there, all those got to come off, so those will be next. Taking off these here. I don't know if you can see them. It's kind of dark. These look like some Torx. And then there's some other clips. And I think we got to get off these two. So 10 mil right here. Okay, so I think we're ready to take this off. There's some clips right here. You guys may not be able to see it, but you kind of got to pull the bumper over that. And I think there's like a clip over here. Okay. So it looks like it just clips down. So if you pull up, it should get these out. Okay, so yeah, pull up. Bring this out and around. This one's off, bring this out and around. Okay, so these 4 clips here, oh look at that. Sorry, 4 screws were still holding on the front bumper, so I was able to lean it back and then unscrew them from the top here. And it's just 4 of these little clips. I think these are the 9/32. You guys gotta stay organized when you're doing this, so I bought some Tupperware at Walmart. I'm just gonna keep together with what part of the car I took it off from. So next, I'm gonna get this styrofoam out. I'm gonna get these off. These look like they're 10s. Maybe, no, those are less. No. Those are 10s. Let me get this sensor off here. Oh, these little like weird guards for the clips. Clean. Looks like we got some other 10s in here. Again, these are just going right back in. So I did order a CSF radiator so I don't have to cut this out. But we're gonna get all this stuff out of the way. Gone forever. Alright, so don't want to get into taking off this oil cooler just yet. So I looked up the ECS instructions, and now let's see, right there you can see is the radiator drain. So I got my bucket set up down there. I'm gonna make a mess. Oh, not too bad. So we're gonna get that drained out. While this is draining, the ECS instructions say to remove the serpentine belt. So I'm using a big breaker bar and a 15mm socket. There it goes. Ow. Okay, next step, we're getting the stock tensioner off. So this is 15mm. There's 2 of them. Says specifically to save the bolts for later. So once I get these out, I'm just going to put them back in the block. Okay. So these are going right back in here. We're taking this bracket off. Oh, fuck. This is the evap canister or something. You have to disconnect these lines by pushing up on the bottom, and I took it off over there and right here because I could not get this one off. So it's saying to remove the bracket but leave the evap canister. Here's the bolt, 15. So let's see. Looks like we need a screwdriver and pick that. Ow. Yeah, so all I did was pick up that little pin there. I'm gonna put this bolt back, although we may be ditching this. I think the supercharger bracket goes in about here. So next we're gonna take off the horn assembly here. So there's one bolt holding on the two horns, one clip on it. We're gonna get the sway bar off. So you're gonna need a 13 and an 18. Big boy. Okay, so according to the directions, it looks like the fans for the radiator need to come out, but they also make a note in the instructions that for the Grand Sport, Z06, ZR1 that come with this oil cooler here, this is gonna have to come off. So I got this cleaned out, got a bunch of debris out, but you can see I got a bunch of bent fins. I'm losing some paint on here, but not a big deal. So next I'm gonna try to get this out. Looks like it's two clips, and there is two clips underneath right here. So we gotta get those out too. Okay, so I got the shroud out. Ended up going down with it through there. This is my AC condenser. You just pull it up out of the mounts here on the radiator. So I'm gonna be removing this. So I'm gonna get these hoses backed off. Oh, it almost bit me. Nope. There it goes. Okay. Like I said, 10 mil, it's down there. Got another one down there, right there, 10 mil. I got this side off, and then that top one that I pushed up on it, and it seems like it wants to slide out now. Okay, getting hung up on the top again. So when you're doing stuff like this, it's always better just to go slow. There it goes. Here we go. So this is just the stock fan. I am going to be reusing this. Everyone says to upgrade, but the upgrades are just so expensive. When I do get it tuned, I imagine the tuner is gonna make it so that this kicks on sooner. So I have the coolant pipe coming from the thermostat, and then I have this line here. So it's these same clips here. Hopefully you can see that. They go right on the end of these, just like we took off those other oil cooler lines, and then the hose just pulls out. 21 millimeter. We're loosening the engine cradle here. So here's what I ended up doing. According to the instructions, you need to space it down as much as possible. So I got a socket in there. This side didn't move as much, so I'm using just a wrench. Did the same thing to the other side. Removing power steering cooler, 210 mils. Gotta get these tie rod ends off the hub here. So you're gonna need an 18 and an Allen key. And what I was doing was just letting the Allen key hit the rotor on the other side while taking this off. You know, like, oh, this one's not spinning. Okay, so hopefully you can see this. Just hit this straight down. And just like that, it separates. So now we can take this the rest of the way off. Okay, so this is a tough one to see. The silver nut we're trying to get off is right here. So if you can see that, that's what we're trying to get. And that is going to disconnect the steering shaft from the power steering rack. Got the pressure line off there. I think that's an 18 wrench. Absolutely smashed my fingers on those hard lines here. Next step is to get this brake line bracket, so it goes from your caliper back there to the engine cradle here. It's just a 10 mil. Get that off. I left the nut, or sorry, the bolt back there, and just have the bracket moved off to the side. So next we are going to get out these two 13 millimeter. Yep, 13 millimeter bolts that hold that ABS unit up there. Okay, so I used a wrench on the back side, and then I used this 18 millimeter socket on the impact and got it out. So you can see I got the power steering rack out. The instructions say to take it out through that gap there, but I had an issue where I was running into those ABS lines. So I asked the Facebook pages on how other people get their rack out, and people say to slide it out this side here as much as you can. And then once you can get the right side out, you're going to slide it out and down through the bottom of the car. So next step is removing this crank pulley. So we're going to see if the impact has enough juice to get it off. All right, DeWalt for the win. Okay, so I was able to get the AC pulley off, you can see there. And now what I have here, which I think will work, this is a Chrysler crank pulley removal tool. So it's got the 3 little legs on here. I rented it from O'Reilly Auto Parts. I can get you guys the part numbers for that. I got the longest rod going down inside the crank. You can see the number here. Chrysler Harmonic Balancer Puller 67005. I'm using the longest rod provided, the screw and the, you know, the 3-prong puller. So now I'm going to probably get a big breaker bar and see if I can start pulling this off. Okay, so I got my breaker bar here. It is a 19 millimeter. And now I'm just slowly tightening this. All right, I can hear it moving. All right. Oh, whew. Got it off. So I ended up using this 21 millimeter socket with a couple of washers on the end, and was bracing it against there, against this part of the crank, because the rod that was going inside the crank ended up going in too far, and I ran out of screw on the puller. And you can see these washers got pretty mangled up from how much pressure's on there, but ended up coming off. I do have a new gasket right here, so I will be replacing that as well while we're in here, because it is looking a little wet. So I was able to get it out. I just took a screwdriver and pried on the back side of it, and it popped out. So I'm going to get the other one put in. Okay, you can see the new one is in. Put some engine oil around the outside of it, and then I pushed it in by hand. It was pretty easy to get on there. Next on the list is applicable to only, I want to say it's like 2010 and newer Corvettes. They have these casting marks here that aren't used. So I believe I'm cutting off this one, this one, this one, and that one. So I went to Harbor Freight. This is what I purchased. There's a little die grinder and some cutoff and sanding discs. So here's the instructions, and it's showing just these three. However, when we look at these other pictures, you can see that lower one is missing, and you can see the 4 removed on here. So I'm going to be taking off these 3 as well as that bottom one. The instructions say a 1/4 inch off the top bosses and about a 1/2 inch or as much as possible off the bottom boss. I'm going to try to get as close as I can on these ones. I'm going to just try to cut through that way. I don't know about these 2 bolts there. I may end up taking those off, but yeah, we're going to try to get all these off without doing any collateral damage. Okay, so let's take a look. I got the top 2 done. You can see not very pretty, but I bought the sanding disc to be able to clean those up. Ended up taking those 2 bolts out right there. Those were just 2 10 mils. And then I am going to take off this last one down here as close as I can to the face of this bolt. Okay, you can see I got those all sanded down, nice and smooth. I hit them with a, I want to say it's a 60 grit sanding disc. I have a finer grit, but I'm gonna leave them as is. They feel fine. Okay, so I ended up taking that 4th one off, sanded up, looking good. So I've been putting this off for a minute. Still got to get the new crank pulley on. Okay, using some science here. This is a bag of ice and salt bungee corded to the front of the crank snout. So that's going to be cooling it down. I have the crank pulley in the oven at 250 for about 10-12 minutes, and then we will see if it'll just slide right on there because of the temperature difference. Oh fuck, that's heavy. True hot goods. Ice off now. Dry it off in case any condensation built up. Okay, nice and clean. Now we're putting this on.